In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how you can go about creating a powerful PC for use with Photoshop in 2019. Hi guys, this is Kevin for Pixovert.com. Now, Photoshop is the world's premier photo editing software, so why not look at how to create a first-rate PC to go along with it. In this video, we're going to be looking at the performance range of PCs. I probably want to do a second video where I'm looking more at the economy or value end of things. I feel it's useful to split the videos in that way so that you can have a second video discussing some of the issues that you might have if you are working with a limited budget. For this one, we're going to be looking at performance, and we're going to be looking at some of the most powerful CPUs on the market right now. I think it's fair to say 2019 is an excellent year to be building a performance computer. One of the things that makes that the case is the CPUs that you're looking at now. These are the AMD RYZEN processors, probably the most powerful desktop processors on the market right now. They're ideal for Photoshop. They start off with the Threadrippers, which currently AMD have announced they've got the 3rd generation coming out. Those look like they're going to be the most powerful high-end desktop processors on the market. We haven't seen any hard facts so far, but once the facts start coming in, if I feel that they're worth recommending, I'm going to have a link in the description to those. Mind you, the prices are coming in at around $1,400 to $2,000, but I think they may well be worth that kind of price. Currently available, we have the really powerful AMD Ryzen 9 desktop processors. These are the 3rd generation Ryzen processors from AMD. They're far more powerful than the 2nd generation, and the theme of this video is going to be use the Ryzens unless you have a good reason not to, but make sure it's 3rd generation Ryzens. The top performing ones are obviously the Ryzen 9s. These top out at around $500, although there is a strong expectation that there will be a more powerful one coming soon at around $750. The Ryzen 7 desktop processors are also very good. They have about half the cores, however, so you're not going to get the same performance. And I think that the Ryzen 5 3rd generation processors are also very good. These are the ones that you would want if you're going to be using just Photoshop. For the guys who are doing multitasking, the Ryzen 7s would be more sensible, and the Ryzen 9s are for the guys who are using really powerful, power-hungry software like Adobe Premiere Pro. If you have that kind of setup, that's when it begins to make sense to use a $500 Ryzen 9 desktop processor. Now, obviously, the competitors to the AMD Ryzens are the Intel Core CPUs. Now, the Intel Core X series CPUs compete with the Threadripper CPUs. Currently, Intel are cutting their prices in order to compete with the Ryzen 9s and also the new Threadrippers. However, currently I think the Ryzen 9s and the Threadrippers are better value than the X series Intel CPUs. We have to wait and see what the 10th generation looks like in terms of performance and price before we can give a definitive account of which is better, the Threadrippers or the new 10th generation X series. The Core i9s were the most powerful desktop CPUs until this year, until about 6 months ago when AMD Ryzen 9s came out. And if you're using the 9th generation Core i9s, you don't need to worry. These are still really powerful. I wouldn't, however, build a new PC on the Core i9s because I don't think they have the same value as the Ryzen 9s. The only case where I would go for the Intel CPUs, either the Core i9s or the Core i7s, if you're looking for onboard graphics, the Core i9s and the Core i7s will probably give you your best options for 2019. So we're back looking at the Ryzens, and one of the reasons I'm going to recommend the Ryzens more strongly than the Intels is this bad boy here. This is the X570 motherboard. These motherboards are the first motherboards to support PCIe Gen 4 on consumer desktop PCs. Now the X570 motherboards are pretty special. Not only do they have PCIe 4 leadership, they also have generally a very good build quality. They've got excellent connections. You can have up to 8 USB super speed connections. You've got tons of connections for SATA ports for your hard drives. And also they do support PCIe Gen 4, both for the graphics card and also for the NVMe drives. The PCIe Gen 4 NVMe drives that are available cover the range all the way up to 2 terabytes, and they run significantly faster than the existing PCIe Gen 3 NVMe drives. So with these bad boys, anything that USB 3 can throw at them, they should be able to handle. Another thing I like about the X570 motherboard is just their overall construction. You can see a range of these bad boys here. The one I'm going to take a closer look at is the MSI X570 Godlike. 3 NVMe drives. They've obviously got excellent shrouding and cooling. You can install your entire operating system on an NVMe drive, Photoshop, the other Adobe Creative Cloud software on an NVMe drive, and still have space for further NVMe drives. These motherboards have excellent thermals, both for the chipset, which apparently gets very hot, and also for the NVMe drives, which work better with excellent thermal regulation. Another thing to bear in mind is that they have got Wi-Fi, excellent Wi-Fi connections, so you can get high-speed transfer across your network. The X570 motherboards allow you to overclock, but they also have a feature called XFR2, which you should look into. This is a feature that allows you to overclock without overclocking. Basically, you need a really good cooler. You turn on XFR2 and it will automatically up the clock speed to a safe level. So you basically can kind of overclock, but without killing your warranty. Now, I love overclocking as much as anyone else, but I really would like to have some way of overclocking without killing my warranty. Now, talking about warranties, one of the main benefits of actually building your own computer is that you do get to choose your own components, you get to customize your build, but you also benefit from having components that have long warranties. These can include power supplies, memory, which can have a lifetime warranty. In fact, I think it's pretty common for RAM to have lifetime warranties. That's not something you're going to get with your typical Dell or HP build. And by choosing your own power supply, you can determine how much you can upgrade in the years to come. So if you choose a really decent power supply, your build can probably last for 3, 4, 5 years. Your power supply will allow you to upgrade to whatever comes out in the coming years. I'm going to have some links in the description to some pretty decent power supplies. It's always a good idea to choose a high quality power supply. When you purchase PCs that are pre-built from third parties, sometimes the power supplies are absolute garbage, and you can avoid that by building your own. The X570 motherboards have got excellent components and they've got plenty of room for RAM. If you are purchasing RAM in 2019, you're probably going to get the cheapest DDR4 RAM prices that we've ever seen. The price of RAM has plummeted over the last year. So if you're building a performance build, getting plenty of RAM into your build is going to be one of the things that you want to do this year. I'm going to recommend getting at least 16 gigs of RAM. 32 gigs is better. The prices are very, very decent right now. Something else that we need to look at is obviously the graphics card. If you go for an Intel chip with onboard graphics, you don't have to worry so much about this. But if you're going for the RYZENs, you will need to get some graphics card. I'm going to recommend the GTX 1660 from NVIDIA. This is an entry-level gaming card. So if you're going to be doing any type of gaming, 1080p, this bad boy is going to look after you. It's also okay for 3D modeling, which you can do inside of Photoshop. Good for accelerated RAW processing, which is now available both in Camera Raw and in Lightroom. And it's okay for video processing as well. Generally, you want to get a more powerful graphics card if you have a bigger monitor. One of the other advantages of the GTX 1660 is that if you download the studio drivers, this allows you 10-bit per channel color processing in Photoshop. So that means now if you want 10-bit processing in Photoshop, you don't necessarily have to go for the NVIDIA Quadro cards. There are also some pretty decent cards from AMD, the 5700 and the 5500 cards. Those are excellent. They are PCIe Gen 4. So if you're doing a lot of video editing, maybe you've got 4K monitors, these might give you better performance than other graphics cards. But unfortunately, they don't support 10-bit color in Photoshop. Now, a final point that I want to make is that currently, if you purchase the RYZENs, there is a special offer for the ability to get a couple of decent games. They've got Borderlands 3, Outer Worlds. These are decent games, and if you are into gaming, you can get these free with the RYZENs right now. Another reason why I think it's good to mention this is that whenever AMD is doing this, it means that they've got a pretty decent supply of CPUs. When you are purchasing CPUs, particularly very popular ones like the RYZEN CPUs, sometimes they do kind of sell out, and there are problems with supply. And when that happens, the prices can fluctuate up. You find that the premier tier retailers like Amazon, they stop selling them because Amazon usually sells at manufacturer's recommended retail price. However, when you've got these sorts of offers going on, it generally means that there's a very good supply, and that's a good time to purchase the CPUs. So that's something to bear in mind, and I think we're going to leave it at that. Hope you found some of that useful. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe for more videos. I'm going to see you guys later. Bye.